In the world we live in, we see this concept of the recall. A manufacturer will recall their product when that product is not functioning the way it was designed to function. We've seen it with cars, appliances, and all kinds of different products. The product is no longer functioning, or in some cases, the product may have even malfunctioned to the degree that it cost someone their life. And now there is a recall on that product to return it to the manufacturer as soon as possible. Everyone who has the particular product that is being recalled is encouraged to send it back in so that the manufacturer can fix it or replace it, because it has become dangerous for society instead of productive and helpful. Every manufacturer knows that the success of his product and company is contingent upon it doing what he created it to do. So we are familiar with this concept. If we can understand this concept as it concerns a product made by man, then certainly we can understand and embrace this concept with a divinely made product. We understand that we as human beings are the product of a divine creator we call God. We were made in his image and after his likeness. We were made to look like him, to be like him, and to function like him in the earth, the way he functions in his domain. In the 3rd chapter of the first book of the Bible, we get a first-hand account of man's malfunction, which helps us to understand what we are seeing today as we deal with the very best of man and the very worst of man. It all began right there in that 3rd chapter of Genesis when Adam and Eve decided that they would disobey God's instruction. When they did, they were immediately separated from their natural habitat. Every creature has a natural habitat within which it functions and is able to do what it was created to do. Birds fly in the air because that's their environment, their domain, their natural habitat. Fish swim in water because that's the environment that was created for them to function properly. Man's environment, or natural habitat, is the presence of God. It is here he functions properly. Man's best efforts outside of God's presence is much like what we see when a fish is out of water on dry ground. A lot of flapping around, but no real progress or productivity towards purpose. And so when Adam and Eve decided to disobey God, that disobedience separated them or pulled them out of the presence of God, such that they were no longer able to function properly because they were no longer in their natural habitat. So at the end of chapter 3, we see God divvy out the consequences for the disobedience to the woman, to the man, and to the serpent who was the deceiver. And then at the close of that chapter, we see God make some decisions. He decides to send man out of the garden to protect the way to the tree of life. He set a flaming sword on one side of the entrance and a cherubim on the other to protect his plan of redemption. You see, God had a plan already in place to redeem man, to get him back in his natural habitat so that he could go on and do what he was created to do and fulfill the purpose for which he was created to fulfill. Jesus Christ was God's plan. He is the way to the tree of life. God's plan was to use Jesus to reintroduce man to his natural habitat, the presence of God. And once man was back in his natural habitat, he could resume with the original plan of God, the purpose, the assignment that was on his life. Until man can get back to his natural habitat and begin to respond appropriately and naturally to God, he is unable to properly function. And functioning properly is the primary reason we are here. I want to take this time now to release to you the first of 7 laser-focused breakthrough actions that must take place in a person's life in order for them to function properly and live productively. Here it is. Answer the manufacturer's recall. We must answer the manufacturer's recall and be reintroduced to our natural habitat so that we can embrace the original, authentic assignment for our life here on earth. This will laser focus our energy and help us to understand the work we're to be doing while we are alive. Each of our lives has been aimed at something specific here in the earth, and when we get on the path to discover what that is, we are answering the manufacturer's recall.